Amanda, Penny Wong and Christina Keneally moved a motion when Bettina Arndt was recognised in the Australia Day honours earlier this year, but they were pretty much silent when it came to Mike Carlton. Do you find this odd?
I find it utterly hypocritical. When Bettina Arndt was given an Australia Day award, the fact that she had retweeted a policeman's comment that suggested a person who had set his family on fire in the most horrendous of circumstances should be considered with an open mind. That was alone enough for them to call for her award to be taken away, for there to be speech after speech of condemnation of violence against women. It literally gobbled up most of the day in the Senate. And yet, Mike Carlton, who is awarded for being a broadcaster and print journalist of such standing that he should be honoured as a nation's best, doesn't seem to be able to engage with another person who disagrees with him without resorting to abuse, and yet the left is silent. You cannot say that you stand against people encouraging violence. You cannot say you stand against racism when you only take that stand against people who aren't in your political tribe. Either it's wrong or it's right. If it's wrong no matter who says it. And so the kind of hypocrisy we've seen by their silence this week is utterly unacceptable.
Amanda, the PM has announced that the free childcare will finish on July 12, with JobKeeper coming off the childcare industry before other sectors. This has sparked some criticism that it's unfair to women who do the brunt of childcare arrangements. What's your view on this?
I actually think those criticisms are misplaced. The COVID arrangements were brought in because there was a crisis that affected the viability of the childcare sector, because demand went from the usual amount to zero almost overnight as people pulled their children out, concerned about keeping them safe from COVID-19. We've now seen demand bounce back to 74%. Of course, the people who are using childcare are people who are in work, so they should have, at least in the vast majority of cases, their usual capacity to pay the costs of childcare. And it should also be noted that we've got in the childcare sector an enormous transition package to the tune of $708 million that's designed to help childcare centres maintain high staffing levels during this period, so that we can make sure we're getting quality care, so that people have the confidence they need to get back to work, and so that childcare centres are able to cope by paying people their normal wages without the benefit of JobKeeper. Now, there's some of the criticism is that there's been a withdrawal of JobKeeper early from the childcare sector. In practical terms, though, the sector is much better off, including all of the employees. And the reason for that is that the childcare sector is one in which many people weren't eligible for JobKeeper in the first place, because there's a lot of people who aren't permanent residents of Australia working in the sector. So with this transition payment, people working in the sector who didn't necessarily meet the criteria for JobKeeper are going to get the benefits, rather than finding that some people were and some people weren't. This is what the industry asked for. The people who are being asked to pay their usual rates for childcare are people back at work. And this reflects the fact that the childcare sector was touched first, along with hospitality and retail, by the impact of COVID-19.
Yeah. Just very quickly, Amanda, is it too early, do you think, to be looking at the resumption of international students and business figures?
Look, I think we do need to start working towards a point where we can have normal student operations, normal business operations, but that's got to be balanced against the health risks. And that may mean that the medical advice is that we have to have quarantine for a time yet, but we are right to be looking at ways that we can get moving down that path, because the livelihoods of so many Australians depend on it.